Stoneboy. Depending on individual storyteller, the Sioux legend of Stoneboy takes many different forms. The following version from the Cheyenne River Reservation was heard by Henry Crow Dog around 1910 when he was a child listening to the storytellers at the campfire. Back in the days of the Indians, a maiden and her 5 brothers lived together. People in those times had to look for food. It was their main occupation. So while the sister cooked and made clothes, the brothers spent time in their days hunting. It happened once that this family moved their teepee to the bottom of a canyon. It was a strange, silent place, but there was water in a creek and the hunting was good. The canyon was cool in the summer and shielding from wind in the winter. Still, when the brothers went out hunting, the girl was always waiting for them, waiting and listening. She heard noises. Often she thought they were footsteps, but when she looked outside, no one was there. Then one evening, only 4 of the 5 brothers came back from hunting. They and their sister stayed awake all night, wondering what could have happened to the other. The next day, when the men went hunting, only 3 returned. Again, and the sister stayed awake, wondering. The evening, only 2 came back, and the girl, were afraid. In those early days, the Indians had no sacred ceremonies or prayer to guide them. So it was hard for the maiden and 2 brothers to watch through the night in that ghostly place. Again the brothers went out in the morning, and only a single one returned at night. Now the girl cried and begged him to stay home, but they had to eat, and so in the morning her last and youngest brother, whom she loved best of all, went out to hunt. Like the others, he did not come back. No one would bring the maiden food or water, or protect her. Weeping, the girl left the canyon and climbed to the top of the hill. She wanted to die, but did not know how to. When she saw a round pebble lying on the ground, thinking that it would kill her, she picked it up and swallowed it. With peace in her heart, the maiden went back to the teepee. She drank some water and felt a stir inside her, as if the rock were telling her not to worry. She was comforted, though she could not sleep for missing her brothers. The next day, she had nothing left to eat except some pemmican and berries. She meant to eat them and drink water from the creek, but she found she wasn't hungry. She felt as if she had been to a feast, and walked around singing to herself. The following day she was happy in a way she had never been before. On the 4th day the girl had been alone. She felt pain. Now the end comes, she thought. Now I die. She didn't mind, but instead of dying she gave birth to a little boy. What will I do with this child? She wondered. How did it come? It must be that stone I swallowed. The child was strong, with shining eyes. Though the girl felt weak for a while, she had to keep going to care for the new life, her son. She named him Ian Hockshi, Stoneboy, and wrapped him in her brother's clothes. Day after day he grew, 10 times faster than ordinary infants, and with a more perfect body. The mother knew that her baby had great powers. One day, when he was playing outside the teepee, he made a bow and arrow all on his own. Looking at his flint arrowhead, the mother wondered if he had done it. Maybe he knows that he was a stone and I swallowed it, She thought. He must have a rock nature. The baby grew so fast that he soon was walking. His hair became long and he was mature. His mother became afraid that she could not keep him under control and would lose him long. And as he matured, his mother became afraid that she would lose him as she had lost her brother. She cried often, and though he did not ask why, he seemed to know. Very soon he was big enough to go hunting, and when she saw this, his mother wept more than ever. Stoneboy, come into the teepee, mother. Don't cry, he said. You used to have 5 uncles, she said, but they went out hunting, and one after another they did not come back. And she told him about his birth, how she had gone to the top of the hill and swallowed a stone, and how she had felt something moving inside her. I know, he said, and I am going to look for others, my uncles. My uncles. But if you don't return, she sobbed, what will I do? I will come back, he told her. I come back with my uncles. I will come back with my uncles. Stay in the teepee until I do. So the next morning, Ivan Hookshee started walking and watching. He kept on till dusk. When he found a good place to sleep, he wandered for 4 days, and on the evening of the 4th day he smelled smoke. Ian Hookshee, the stone boy, he followed the smell. It led him to a teepee with smoke coming from its smoke hole. This teepee was ugly and ramshackle. Inside, Ian Hookshee could see an old woman who was ugly too. She watched him pass and, calling him over, invited him to eat and stay the night. Stoneboy went into the teepee, though he was uneasy in his mind and a little timid. He looked around and saw 5 big bundles propped up on end against the teepee wall, and he wondered. The old woman was cooking some meat. When it was done, he ate it, though it didn't taste good. Later, she fixed a dirty old buffalo robe for him to sleep on, but he sensed danger and felt wide awake. I have a backache, the woman said. Before you go to sleep, I wish you would rub it for me by walking up and down my back. I am old and alone, and I have nobody to help me with my pain. She laid down, and Stoneboy began walking on her back. As he did, he felt something stick up under her buckskin robe, something sharp, like a knife or a needle or a point with a spear. Maybe she used this sharp tool to kill my uncles, he thought. Maybe she put poison from a snake onto it. Yes, that must be so. Ian Hookshee, having pondered, jumped high as he could and came down the woman's back with a crash. He jumped and jumped until he was exhausted, and the hag was lying dead with a broken back. Then Ian Hookshee walked over to the big bundles, which were wrapped in animal hides and lashed together with rawhide thongs. He unwrapped them and found 5 men, dead and dried like jerked meat, hardly human-looking. These must be my uncles, he thought, but he didn't know how to bring them back to life. Outside the ugly teepee was a heap of rocks, round gray stones. He found that they were talking and that he could understand them. Ian Hookshee, Stoneboy, you are one of us. You come from us. You come from Tunka. You come from Ian. Listen, pay attention. Following their instructions, he built a little dome-like hut out of bent willow sticks. He covered it with the buffalo robe and put the 5 dead, dried-up humans inside. Out in the open, he built a big fire. He set the rocks right in the flame, picked up the woman, and threw her in the burn-up. After the rocks glowed red hot, Stoneboy found a deer antler and used it to carry them one by one into the little hut he made. He picked up the old woman's water bag, a water buffalo bladder decorated with quill work, and filled it with water. He drew its rawhide tight, and took it inside too. Then he placed the dried humans around him in a circle. Ian Hoaxie closed the entrance of his little lodge with a flap of buffalo robe so that no air could escape or enter. Pouring water from the bag over them, he thanked the rocks, thanking, "You brought me here." 4 times he poured the water, 4 times he opened the flap and closed it. Always he spoke to the rocks, and they to him. As he poured, the little lodge filled with steam so that he could see nothing but the white mist in the darkness. When he poured water a second time, he sensed a stirring. When he poured a third time, he began to sing, and he poured the fourth time. Those dead, dried up things also began to sing and talk. "I believe they have come to life," thought Ian Hoaxie, the Stoneboy. "Now I want to see my uncles." He opened the flap for the last time, watching the steam flow out and rise into the sky as a feathered cloud. The bonfire and the moonlight both shone into a little sweat lodge, and by their light he saw 5 good-looking young men sitting inside. He said, "Hoi Lekshi, you must be my uncles." They smiled and laughed, happy to be alive. Ian Hoaxie said, "This is what my mother, your sister, wanted. This is what she wished for." He also told them, "The rock saved me, and now it has saved you. Ian Tunka Rock Tunka Ian Tunkashila, the grandfather spirit, we will learn to worship. This little lodge, these rocks, the water, the fire, these are sacred. We will use from now as we have done here for the first time, for purification, for life, for wishansi, for health. All this has been given to us so that we may live. We shall be a tribe." Told by Henry Crow, Dog, February 26, 1968, at Rosebud, South Dakota, and recorded by Richard Erdos. Henry Crow, Dog, is a full-blooded Sioux elder with a majestic face, craggy as the Black Hills themselves. He is the grandson of the famous Crow Dog, a chief warrior and a leader of the Ghost Dancers. The first Crow Dog once voluntarily drove 150 miles to his own hanging for killing his rival, Spotted Tail, only to be freed on orders from the Supreme Court, which ruled that federal law had no jurisdiction on an Indian reservation. And that is it for this, followed up by Powerful Boy in our next session. Thank you. Have a great night, day, time, any way you want to see it. Take care. Peace.